All right, welcome back, everybody. Now, as the tech industry continues to evolve at a breakneck pace, staying ahead of the game has become so essential for organizations looking to attract top talent and professionals striving to advance their careers in this competitive field. In the ever-changing world of the technology, it is important that professionals can navigate the dynamic landscape and organizations can develop effective career planning strategies to boost skills retention. To help us unpack the critical role of career planning and development in today's rapidly evolving tech landscape, we're joined in studio by talent manager at Dariel Software, Anene Britz. Anene, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Cynthia. It's really nice to have you.
It's an absolute pleasure. I mean, I was so much looking forward to this conversation because so much needs to be, threshed out in terms of career planning. I mean, what is a holistic approach to career planning?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So that's something that I am exceptionally passionate about, and Dariel especially as well. So when it comes to holistic planning, it comes to a couple of things. We need to bear in mind hard skills that you need to have to actually do the job. What can I learn to actually make myself effective? Also the soft skill side of things, being able to communicate effectively, being able to accept failure, which is sometimes quite tricky and difficult to navigate when we're still young into our careers. And then lastly, something that I'm a big proponent of is the concept of networking and actually putting ourselves in the position and building a brand perception that we need to have. And I don't mean that everyone needs to be an Instagram influencer. I don't need you to be the most famous person, but you need to curate the perception that you want to have within your organization. So who am I the go-to person for? And how do I get involved with those sorts of things? Because they end up giving you opportunities that you may not have thought of or had exposure to beforehand. So it's really about considering all those options and then taking care of your mental health. Within our space, unfortunately in South Africa, and unemployment being what it is, it's so easy for us to accept any opportunity because we feel that we need to. But it's so important to be curated in the culture and to know what you're expecting.
What about balancing risk and retention through career development then?
Absolutely. So there are two paths from this perspective. From a company perspective, it is invaluable for us to reskill and invest in our employees. When we invest in our employees and our staff, there's a lot of help and growth that comes from that. We end up delivering better quality products, and at the end of the day, we build and establish ourselves as experts as well. But from a retention perspective, it's also about making sure that you are giving your staff the opportunity to grow. When we consider things like the World Economic Forum and their recent report, what they've mentioned is that 6 in 10 staff members need upskilling within this upcoming period, but very few of them will have access to it. So I do implore it to companies to consider how this will make you a better organization, because as much as the technology helps, the people make the bigger difference.
What is the importance of understanding the skills that are available, especially within the labor force?
Absolutely. So we need to have an understanding of where our people are and where their strengths are. And this comes back to that holistic perspective. Someone might be incredibly skilled at the hard skill side of things, but might not be as competent on the soft skills. And we want to balance our teams and we want to balance our people in the best position that they can be. Again, it's always that overarching delivery aspect, considering where are we and how do we make this the most effective that it can be while uplifting and supporting our people. The biggest problem that comes into businesses is when we start thinking of people as resources instead of people. And we really want to invest in people and help them succeed so that we can succeed.
And then we certainly cannot be talking about staff retention without touching on the issue of the forever growing AI or artificial intelligence and the threat to jobs. So should companies tread very carefully when it comes to artificial intelligence? And of course, bearing in mind that in as much as we need the technological advancement, at the same time, jobs need to be kept.
Yeah. Absolutely. What a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. So when we think about artificial intelligence, it's really important to remember that it's a tool. Artificial intelligence and large language models like ChatGPT are great ways to optimize productivity and to help us develop. And when we think of big companies like Microsoft, they have openly proclaimed that while this is a period of change, this is also a great period of opportunity. We must always consider that risks are both negative and positive at the same time. With about 75% of the South African labor market currently taking on cloud and AI and all these optimization tools, it actually brings on a conversation for reskilling our people. And it's going to be a matter of us investing and helping people learn these skills that retain jobs and help us to create more opportunity than there was
What about the
before.
loss of jobs, though?
Yes.
In some sectors, which, call for the growth of AI at the expense of jobs.
Yep, absolutely. Like every industrial revolution, there will be changes, there will be shifts. And this is where it becomes so important to understand where our people are and how can we reskill those people so that while their job changes and there might be a loss in one respect, it becomes something more productive going forward. I think it's beautiful seeing initiatives like Nedbank and all of the banks who are currently on a huge journey to do exactly this, because jobs like bank tellers and mundane administrative tasks are unfortunately more on the easily changed space.
Yeah.
So it's really important to know where are our people, what skills do they have, and how can we help them become future fit?
Yeah, I was going through the feature of the Jobs Report 2023. So I want us to talk about the skills that are in demand, especially in the tech space.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, tech is always in demand. And I think it's important to remember that while our first principle needs to be that we are guided by principles, we need to remember that irrespective of the tool that we use, the things that won't be replaced are what makes us uniquely human. It is our critical thinking, it's our ability to strategize, it's our ability to disseminate data. And from that perspective, there's obviously a huge spike in opportunities like big data. There's a large demand for cloud. There's a large demand for software engineering, which we've seen in abundance. But the biggest game changer has really been the things that keep us human. Our creativity, our empathy, our ability to connect with others. Because as much as these tools are so helpful and incredible, they simply aren't in a position at this stage to understand people and to reason. They're simply able to produce data from a set of information.
Sure. And as much as companies, I could see that they've embraced AI full force, but there's also the threat of data breaches. Do you get a sense that companies are not focusing fully on the security of their data, rather than focusing on the growth of AI?
Oh, absolutely. It's such an interesting discussion point. From a security perspective, there's been a massive spike in demand from security professionals. Obviously, with large confidential bases of information, it puts you in a particularly vulnerable space. But I think as a business, it is imperative for you to consider how to make this more efficient. How do we actually safeguard our information? How do we again consider this? And we're in such an exciting time because we don't know what we don't know. We might find that there is an opportunity that we hadn't considered before, but there are incredible security and governance professionals and compliance professionals who have made this their bread and butter and truly are incredible at what they do. So I'm not too concerned about our information.
Okay, that's so heartwarming. All right, Anene, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great stuff. Well, that was Talent Manager at Dariel Software, Anene Britz, talking to us about the critical role of career planning and, of course, and development in today's rapidly evolving tech landscape.